Ashley, let's talk about Manchester United. You've seen it firsthand with Sir Alex Ferguson and post Sir Alex Ferguson. Did you detect anything that was going wrong when he left?
I don't think as soon as he left that there was that things were going to go the way that they have gone. I think it was going to be tough for any manager that come in after the boss. And, it was David Moyes who come in at the time, and he lasted 10 months just because of the ways that he brought into Man United. Obviously, the owners didn't see it fitting that we could carry on into another season. Maybe it's when he had the transfer window that he did buy as well as they thought he was going to do, and I just don't think that the club at that time was going to see the decline in the way it did so much after the boss had left.
Ruben Amorim obviously has come in now, and he's got the whole summer to try and reshape the squad and try and really put his philosophy into that team through pre-season. Do you see reasons to be optimistic now? Can you see the sort of start of something positive moving forward for United?
I think Ruben Amorim's got his way and his style of coaching, of his tactics, the way he wants to set up a team, and I think that we've seen he didn't want to come in at the time that he did. He wanted to be in at the start of the season, so it was going to be tough either way. When you come in halfway through a season, I'm sure any managers will say it's a tough ask, and when you're joining the biggest club in the world, where they were at, it was going to be even harder. So I think it's been said that you're going to have to give him time. He needs time, and he needs how many transfer windows, who knows? But you've got to set your mark up, put a stamp down as soon as you start this season. I don't think that anyone can give him any more excuses. It's now or never, really, to be honest. That he's got to have a good pre-season with a team, work out what his team is, what his best team is, what players fit into the system. Unless he's going to change the system, but you can't see him changing the formation that he's been playing. So it's going to be intriguing to see what happens after this pre-season.
Just briefly coming away from transfer for just one moment, I can tell you that Yannick Sinner is the new Wimbledon champion. He's just beaten Carlos Alcaraz by 3-1, 4-6, 6-4, 6-4, 6-4, getting his revenge after that extraordinary French Open final 5 weeks ago. Yannick Sinner has won 2025 Wimbledon. Now, let's get back to Manchester United. Ashley, seems to be a change in approach with their transfer dealings. Matheus Cunha is in. Bryan Mbeumo, they remain optimistic of doing a deal for him. One source claims it could come this week, another bid to match what Brentford want. We think they want around £65 million. But both of these players have got significant Premier League experience, which has kind of been not the case, shall we say, in some of United's previous signings. They've been signing players from leagues with players that haven't had experience in the Premier League. Do you think they are learning lessons now with the approach that they're taking in this window?
I think they've got to be learning lessons after the last few windows that have gone on and haven't been the most successful windows. I think it's one of them where you need to bring in experienced players that know the league. Of course, you're going to bring in players that might not have played in the Premier League, and they could do extremely well for the club. But if you're going to go back to I'll go back to the boss, and at times, most of his signings that would have had Premier League experience, he would have looked and thought, are they going to gel into the squad? And he went on a dossier to make sure he knew the players' families, friends, their eating, sleeping habits. They knew everything. He was, like I say, a genius. He just knew what players would fit into a squad that were hungry, that wanted to work hard, and had the desire to be a winner. And I think that was a massive, that was a key to when the boss was signing players. So I think that it's a different approach from Manchester United, and I think that you've got to have a different approach to what's gone on in the past, and hopefully see a significant change in what's been going on.
Yes, Cunha in, and Mbeumo likely to join if United can match what Brentford wants. It's likely that Marcus Rashford doesn't have a future at Manchester United. Barcelona really pushing to get a deal done. They've explored the conditions of a potential deal for Marcus Rashford. Manchester United now expecting an approach from Barcelona. Rashford clearly wants to go there, but Barcelona might not be able to do anything but a loan, and that can't be ruled out, even though Manchester United would prefer a permanent move for Rashford. Look, you've played with him over 100 times at Manchester United. What's your overriding emotion if it is to be the end of Marcus Rashford at Old Trafford?
I think that you've got to look at the last, especially last season, with the way that things have been. Like I've loved him since the day that he trained with the first team. He's a fantastic player, but I think it's you can't always just stay at Manchester United. There's got to be something that's got to happen. There's got to be a change. from last season he went to Aston Villa, and I think that he enjoyed his time there. You saw him, he had a smile on his face again, and he looked like he was enjoying his football. So, I think now he's going to have options, whether it's options that he wants or not. There's going to be places where teams want to take him. So, I hope that this is going to be a right move that he takes, and it's just about his football that he goes and gets on with, and shows his football that he goes people that the Marcus Rashford that know that because like I say, he's a fantastic player, and he showed that in glimpses, and when he showed that to Aston Villa last season.
There seems to be another player whose days at Old Trafford are coming towards. It's Jadon Sancho. He's got just 1 year left on his current contract with a club option of another year. The latest is that Juventus still very much interested in him and are currently working on a potential deal. The other player that they are looking at is Porto's Francisco Conceição as well, and it's not been ruled out potentially that Juventus would do both players. We know that he's in that group of 5 that don't really fit in at Manchester United now, and it's expected that probably 4 of the 5 players would potentially leave. When you look at the turnover of players, realistically, how many windows do you think it will be before Manchester United can be what they were when you joined, challenging and winning Premier League titles?
I'm not sure how many windows it's going to take. Yeah, I was thinking, I don't know how many windows. It could be this one. It could be another one next summer. Who knows how many it's going to take? The less the better, of course. Like I say, they've got 5 players there that are good players, fantastic players that would be in other teams to be able to be playing. But obviously, there's a reason why Ruben Amorim is not playing them. And I think for them now, I'm sure they're sat there or they're speaking to their agents and just saying, please, just get me to a place where it's a club where I go and play football. But as players, you just want to play football. I don't think they're going to just sit around and just wait and wait and wait. They want to be going to play football. So, hopefully for the club and for themselves that they get something sorted so they go and play football.
Now, we started the show by talking about all the things you'd won, and it's quite an extensive list. You're the only Englishman to win the Premier League title and the Serie A title. Now, Scott McTominay has obviously made the move from Manchester United to Italy, won the Scudetto with Napoli. Are you surprised at how well he's taken to the country, to the league? You've played with him, you understand him, and he's always been top class, but never really probably held in the same esteem as other Manchester United midfielders, but really shining in Italy at the moment.
I think I'm extremely happy for him. He's one of them youngsters that come into the first team when we were there, and you could just see he's just got that hunger, that desire, that belief. He just wants to do well. He wanted to do well from a kid, and when I did see him leave, I was surprised that Manchester United actually did let him leave at that time. I don't think they had many midfielders at the time that were playing as well as he was doing. And I always knew that if he had a new challenge, if he was going to go to a different country, that it'd be perfect for him. And when he went I saw him going to Napoli, and I saw Antonio Conte there. I just knew that the manager would love him because he's one of the hardest working players that I've seen and come across. And I am delighted for him that he's gone there and won the league. I wish it was Inter again, but that's where